Hi everyone, Bernard here with the latest Citizen vlog, and it's a Moments in Time, and we're looking at this gentleman today. It says on there Mick Channon, but he did like to be called Mike Channon. He didn't want to be called Mick from all accounts, so that's quite wrong, that legend on that image there. It's not right. It's Mike Channon, not Mick Channon, Mike Channon. So that's who we're going to have a look at today. Please, if you're new to this Citizen channel, please push your subscribe button, push the bell notification so you know these little vlogs and specials are coming out on Citizen past and present. And obviously, as I'm recording this, I'm getting ready to do a present vlog because football's back as I'm recording this. But obviously, you're seeing it. We've probably lost all our games since I've recorded this, and it's all downhill from now on. But there you go. Right, Mr. Mike Channon, the 25th of July 1977, he signed on the dotted line for City. Yeah, it was 28th of November 1948 he was born, so obviously he was not a young man, wasn't he, when he signed for City? He was 29, so he'd obviously been at Southampton for a while. So I got a great image on the Leicester City programme where he made his debut. It's a great image, obviously, of the... I didn't find out who this was, please forgive me, but obviously that's him signing on the dotted line for his debut game, which was against Leicester City on the 20th of August. And the sort of programme notes, Peter Swales commenting on the signing. We were a very good team last season, and we finished runners-up in the First Division to Liverpool, just 1 point adrift of the leaders. I believe that the summer arrival of Mike Channon from Southampton will now make us even better, and while guarantees in the game are impossible, I'm aware that we are equipped so well with quality playing staff, we must be the envy of many rival clubs. We paid £300,000 for Mike, because the manager is convinced he is another piece of the jigsaw puzzle that will lead to City having the most complete team in the country. I'm also sure it's a fine investment, and the evidence of our pre-season games is that Mike will have no difficulty adapting to the style of players we have and the style we use. Tony Butt went on to say, we have certainly injected a high degree of quality into the attack with the acquisition of Mike Channon from Southampton. He's a player who has always been wanted by other clubs but never been available. At City, we can still scarcely believe our luck that after waiting patiently for a player of such proven skills to become available, we could step in with the perfect timing and get our man. So a bit later on, you'll sort of Laurie McMenamin's side of that, the Southampton manager as well, and obviously later on, I won't give too much away. There's a great image of the 77-78 squad in colour, and he just squeezes on the end there. Looks as though he's nearly falling off the bench, doesn't it? just squirrels on. But by the 77-78 yearbook, he'd actually moved in a couple of rows. So obviously I think that's Jed Keegan, isn't it, right on the end? So he'd actually managed to squeeze into the second. I think he moves along another one with the season after as well. So yeah, that's a great image. Like Kippax, and Kippax there doesn't never looked as big, does it? When it was empty like that from ground level, it's sort of quite unusual how it looked. Yeah, so as I said, his debut was against the Leicester game, but obviously that season as well, it was, and we'll probably go into this at another time as well, we had this Saturday, we had the nationwide followers. I mean, all these documentaries on City with Pep, and obviously the City documentary, which you'll know well, which obviously wasn't long after this season, obviously. And also, so he was featured in this, he's one of our players on this. I think we've got, is he there? There he is, waving at the end. Yeah, big wave, I assume. Could be the Leicester game, little Leicester player in the background. So that was his debut game, and obviously he was on the famous picture, wasn't he, that features on one of the programmes actually as well. But obviously that everyone loves this picture of all the squad and all the backroom staff, etc. And of course he's on that one as well. So he's up there next to Tony Henry there in the corner. So yeah, so he got onto the nationwide thing. Yeah, his debut was against Leicester. He didn't score. There's a little Steve Kemmer of Leicester there. There's a little action image of Mike Channon in his debut game for City at Maine Road. And his first goals came in, well, obviously you'll see this picture again, obviously the game against Norwich City on the 3rd of September 1977. So there's that famous image that was used by Nationwide, obviously, on there. And his first goal came in a two goals. He scored a brace, and he scored 2 or 3 braces this season. 2 in the 4-0 win over Norwich. I mean, Norwich, you had people like Martin Peters there. Look, Martin Peters, ex-World Cup winner. It's absolutely... And there's another image from the Leicester game where he nearly got on the score sheet, so close to scoring there. a few feet is all that keeps Mike Channon from his first day of glory. Obviously, nearly did that, but he didn't have to wait long, did he, to get his first goals for City in the Norwich game? And of course, you always endear yourself to the fans if you score in the derby, don't you? So obviously, against United, he actually scored a goal in a 3-1 win as well against United. So it's always got to do well, isn't it? That was the 10th of September 77. So he got off to quite a bright start, didn't he? We saw his, that's a little image of him against United. It was a little bit of a whinge. I remember, he sort of got hard tackle. He used to have a bit of a whinge about it, a bit of complainer from what I remember, Mike Channon. So this sort of image you see once or twice. I think there's another one that I've got for you as well a bit later on. So that was always what I was good at doing. Interesting. I went to this one. The only goal he scored away from Maine Road this season that we're looking at now, this 77-78 season, was actually at Old Trafford, but it wasn't against United. It was in this League Cup third round game, third round replay, second replay, I think it was. Obviously, and whoever did this, it's not my original programme. Where obviously I've got Channon with a goal against him there. Obviously, wrote on who scored the goal, sort of thing. But I was at this game. I was in the Stretford End for this game. It was all kicking off in Stretford End. A lot of United fans got in, so there's all fights, and the police had to be involved, and were stuck between the two sets of fans, and they all went about half time, the United fans. But I mean, just very odd night. But as I say, the only ever time I've stood in the Stretford End. I've stood in the Stretford End paddock as well, but the only ever time I've stood in the Stretford End was this game, because I think there was another game we had against, I think, Walsall, Old Trafford, but I think it was in the scoreboard then, that game, from what I can remember. Yeah, goal 12th of November 1977. Got a great image in here, actually. He actually scores against Leeds United, but there's a great image of the celebration on the following programme, 26th of November 1977. So you got Dennis Stewart there jumping on his back, and he looks happy enough, doesn't he, Mike Channon. So, but we did get beat 3-2 by Leeds that day, and Leeds were sort of pretty low down, so it wasn't the greatest things for us. I think there's another bit of action. Yeah, we played Chelsea. The biggest win of the season actually was Chelsea on November the 26th. We beat Chelsea 6-2. We scored another 6 goals against Chelsea. But there's a great image of Mike Channon there, being denied by Peter Benetti, who sadly passed away, didn't he, quite recently, this year, 2020. So there's a great image of that shot being saved by Peter Benetti, because he didn't actually score in that game, but it's a great action picture. And he starred in the very famous game for most City fans, the very, very famous, not for the fact we won the game, but if I say Newcastle United, 26th of December 1977, obviously it was the Colin Bell. Apparently a second comeback game, I've been informed by Gary James. I thought it was his, but he did try before this, but this was the sort of renowned one where he came on at half-time and no one expected it, and the atmosphere at Maine Road. I was on the Kippax that night. Absolutely stunning, and obviously Mike did make the Christmas tree on this famous programme, but yeah, it's obviously better known, that game, for Colin Bell actually reappearing. It was never the same, was he? But what a night. I mean, you'd have to... you can't describe nights like that. It was an absolutely fantastic night, superb. A great pity for such a legend. Ipswich Town, April Fool's Day. Again, he scored in that game. He's got some action shots there, but that's actually a save that again. So he could have had another brace. He could have had another couple of goals, but that was actually saved that time. So he never got it. So it's good to see a little bit of action from that game with Mike Channon coming so close, but I think the defender headed off the line. But that's what I like about these big images, these great images are really good to look at. And it also meant, because he was playing quite well, I mean, he seemed to have settled okay. The first few weeks were a bit of trepidation, but he was actually back in favour for England. He got picked back because of an injury to Stuart Pearson at the time, the United player. He was actually called back into the England squad, so in late March, early April. So that was good for him. We've been out of the England squad for a few months. So he sort of, we're going to end with him moaning again. Look, there he is moaning, having a good moment. He actually finished 4th, so we didn't do as well. We were runners up the season before. We actually finished 4th this season. So we were a bit, obviously, not annoyed, but it was a bit of a letdown. Say the crowds were fantastic. We're getting over 40,000 plus crowds now. We were catching not far behind United on average crowds, etc. So finishing fourth was a bit of a disappointment. But what I say about Mike Channon having a whinge, there he's again having a whinge. But he was there obviously for the 78-79 season. And he's moved up to 3 in the yearbook. He's moved up to 3 from the left there. So he's actually moving along there nicely in the squad for this year after. Another image of the Kipaks in the background. Yeah, the Kipaks there in the background. Fantastic. So he's ready for his second season. Again, we were optimistic, weren't we? Again, we were optimistic we were going to do something that season. And we got a picture of him here against Arsenal. There's a picture of him greeting Paul Futcher, who actually joined. But just have a look. I mean, perhaps this was a thing of what was going to come. I mean, he didn't look the cheerfulest, did he? In that little image of him welcoming a new player. Perhaps, obviously, this was a sign of things to come, because it was going to be a little bit of a troubled season. A mixed season for Mike Channon. This 78-79 season. In many ways it was going to be a good season. In other ways it wasn't. He actually got another sort of action from that game against Arsenal, the first game of the season. Great images there. Brian Kidd, Mike Channon. So you got Brian Kidd leaping, Mike Channon shielding the ball there. Some action images, and he got his first away goal in the league against Norwich City, which we played on the 2nd of September 78. So again, early in the season, so he broke his hoodoo on the away goal, so that was no problem. There's another image of him in action in a 2-2 draw against West Bromwich Albion, and it's sort of going for it. Didn't score, but it's like the photos are going from him challenging to actually getting knocked off the ball there. So that's a great little image there of him in action against West Bromwich Albion. But the cracks were beginning to show that season. As I said, it looked, I don't know, I say it certainly didn't look, you can't tell anything from one photo, can you? But he did actually score regularly in the early part of 1979, so February, March, April. But he was on the transfer list. He'd actually, by mutual consent, put himself on the transfer list. So all hadn't gone so well, but he'd obviously, when he did this, it sort of must have put some pressure off him, because he sort of started to score quite a few goals. He'd actually, before injuring the 7th of April 1979, he'd scored 8 goals in 12 games. So he was doing pretty well. I mean, we're talking First Division, we're talking playing good teams. It wasn't always against lesser opposition, if you like. And he actually turned down a move to Swindon Town. Swindon Town actually offered the asking price, but he actually turned it down. So obviously there's another image of him here in a game where he did score in that period where he was on the transfer list, and there's the actual there he scored against Wolverhampton Wanderers. But it all led to, by May, we did have a chance to join Swindon, but Mike Channon is glad to be a Blue again. So the season ended, he was scoring plenty of goals, delighted to be staying at Maine Road. That City striker Mike Channon has been taken off the transfer list by mutual agreement with the club. The decision was revealed last week after the future of several senior players was discussed at a board meeting at which Tony Buck gave his recommendations for the future. Of course, we had Alisson's involvement as that as well, which was obviously we were gonna see further changes, weren't we? So yeah, so all looked okay, didn't it? It's sort of obviously it's all implying there that everything was going to be fine, but obviously he lined up. I don't have the team group picture for the next season, but I'm sure he was on there somewhere probably near the end. So strangely enough, by the start of the 18th of the first game, 18th of August 1979, he's actually not on the team squad. He's actually not on the team squad. And in the City Diary, there was an interesting piece. It is the City Diary. And on August the 13th, City made yet another positive approach to Wolves for Steve Daly, offering 2 players plus cash as a valuation for the midfielder. The press claimed that City had suggested Mike Channon and Colin Viljoen. So, he was there in the squad for the start of the 79-80 season, but obviously you could just read in between the lines there. I mean, obviously there was doubts, wasn't there, no matter what they were saying, and that was to prove his last home game. His last home game was against Brighton and Hove Albion. Saturday the 25th of August, so I say that was the next home game. He said he wasn't even on the team sheet for the other one, so that was to be his last home game. And in there, he's sort of featured in the senior staff. It's got an image of all the senior staff. So obviously you've got Mike Channon there right at the bottom with that great kit, isn't it? That there. So he was in the senior staff, and he actually scored against Brighton. And so he actually scored his final goal at Maine Road in his last appearance at Maine Road, because he obviously things weren't right and he was to move. His last game was away at Spurs. After that, a 2-1 loss at Spurs. So by the time 8th of September came around, 1979, yes, guess who we were playing? Southampton. And where did Mr. Channon return to? Yes, he'd returned to Southampton. So it's one of those things that happen in football, isn't it? And obviously, Laurie McMenemy was the Southampton manager, as I mentioned earlier on, was sort of commenting about Mike Channon. And they've done quite well. Southampton have been doing quite well. Obviously, I think if you reading from this, the conquest of league champions Liverpool by a 3-2 margin last Saturday was never likely to lift Laurie McMenemy's feet off the ground or make him lose sight of his sworn aim for Southampton's progress. So yesterday he was due to carry through his £200,000 negotiations. So we made £100,000 loss on him, didn't we? A couple of years older, to take Mike Channon, from his 2 years of indifferent activity at Maine Road back to the Dell, where he's part of football folklore. The strange thing is neither Mike or I believe he should ever go back. I would rather live with happy memories and return to a place. I mean, yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I mean, then he went on to sort of talk about obviously what inspired him to go and make a bid for Mike Channon. I had tried to get some foreign wingers but had been let down. Then I remember being in Scotland pre-season and watching Manchester City play, and how I'd spotted Mike Channon on the subs bench. I realised that while he hadn't got in that City team, he was still better than what I had got. That set made me think. There are differences, of course. Mike gives more credit now than he did before, but he knows at his time he will have to integrate. It's 2 years on and he may have lost a bit of pace, and the youngsters who were in the team before have now matured a little bit. So yeah, so he was to go back to Southampton. He didn't actually play in this game. He actually sat on the bench. It was too late for him to actually appear. There's another image of him in the last game at Maine Road against Brighton and Hove Albion there. And then it's sort of further done by Mike Channon, sort of. There's a little piece on there about City, about the return of the Saints to the Dell. So some images from Mike Channon, it's a final look at Mike Shannon's City Blue. So obviously that's obviously not the final game we played, but obviously just a little piece in the programme. And of course I'll leave the last thing really here to Mike Channon himself when he was interviewed on it. Sold, it says. Sold. Mike Channon expectedly takes on the role of VIP spectator at Maine Road this afternoon as the Blues he leaves behind confront the club, which yesterday forked out $200,000 to secure his return. So yesterday, so they're saying this is Saturday 8th of September, so I'm assuming that it's on the 7th, and around the 7th of September he signed for Southampton. His views: I'm delighted to be going back to Southampton, but there's sadness that what I thought would happen at Manchester City did not really turn out. Mike said this week as his reign of almost 25 months at Maine Road came to an end. He has some forceful views on where it all went wrong. Yes, yet he's not prepared to wash his laundry in public. He does have an autobiography, so it might be interesting to read that and see what he says in there. Don't expect to read an acid from me in this newspapers. That's never been my style. I have strong views. There are many reasons I don't think it's right for me to say anything, he said. Some broad opinions he is prepared to share. It does annoy me that people still say I never settled in the north of England, that I was a country lad who never had a chance of making it outside Southampton. My family have been very happy here, and I was always optimistic it would come right. Yep, there is no feeling, and he goes on to say lots of other things. There is no ill feeling in me as I leave. I love northern folk. The fans were never cruel to me. They get frustrated when things aren't going well for their team, just like players, managers and directors. That's the same all over the country. Yeah, I mean, I think the fans sort of appreciated him a little bit more that second season, certainly when he was on the transfer list and he started putting the goals in. He scored the 8 goals in 12 games. I mean, his total appearances in the league was 71 and 1 as sub, and he scored 24 goals, which wasn't bad, was it? I mean, he was classed as a winger rather than a straightforward striker. In the FA Cup, he played 3 games, 1 as sub, no goals. In the League Cup, he played 11 games, 1 as sub, and scored 4 goals, so a good return on that. And in Europe, he played 7 games and scored 2. So overall, 92 full appearances, 3 sub appearances, and 30 goals. So yeah, I mean, I think City fans warmed to him, but he was never quite right. He never seemed to be quite a fit. I mean, no disrespect to Southampton, he was a bigger cog there, wasn't he, in their thing? But obviously, it's like now, you know, when you look at players like Mahrez and stuff. I mean, obviously they're a big thing at where they were, and they have to be part of an overall package at City. And even then, when City at that time we were going for the title when Mike Channon, he hopefully would push us on to winning the title. So again, he'd come from Southampton. They were doing well. I mean, it hadn't been long since he won the FA Cup. He'd been in the team that beat United in the FA Cup. So, but he was still, you know, again, it was joining sort of a bigger team with bigger expectations, and he never quite hit it off. And I think there was a little bit of fallout, but I think overall I will probably try and look at his autobiography actually, see what he does say about his time at City. You may know yourselves, but yeah, from a fan's point of view, I'd say we did warm a little bit to him. It was a bit of a struggle, but again, 2 years, and I mean, anyone's scoring goals, and when you score early against United, etc., you do sort of warm, but he was never quite. You know, it's nice to have an England. It was nice to buy an England international. The age didn't seem to matter in those days. You know, he was 29. We weren't really that bothered. You know what I mean, as supporters. But yeah, he never had. Obviously, he would never have this sort of comment. You know, the link with the supporters other players have got. But I think that, you know, thinking on now, I think on obviously the mutual respect. I don't think he's ever slag City off particularly. I may be wrong, but there's certainly no real animosity, I don't think, between Mike Channon and Manchester City. And I'm sure I've seen interviews since where he's been okay. So yeah, so that was Mike Shannon's moments in time when he signed for City on the 25th of July 1977 and left us 2 and a bit years later, didn't he? Around about the 7th of September 1979, I went back to Southampton, and again, it wasn't as like anyone said, you shouldn't go back, and it wasn't the greatest return. I think he struggled a little bit when he went back. He was a couple of years older, wasn't he? And things had moved on, and I think Laurie McMenemy has said himself, there's a lot of younger players that it would have to fit into. So I hope you enjoyed that. Anyway, I'll look at Mike Channon, not Mick Channon. Don't say Mick; he gets angry. He doesn't like Mick Channon. It's Mike Channon. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Please let me know in the comments any memories you've got of Mike Channon. As I say, I don't have any bad memories of Mike Channon, that's for sure. I liked his accent. I liked the way he talked. You know, sort of. Obviously, you know that I'm not going to imitate him. I'll get in trouble. But you know, I did like his accent when he talked. Anyway, and I think I saw him at the races as well. He used to go to the races a lot. I've obviously seen Francis Lee at the races with his horses, being a popular trainer, and obviously, I think I won a few quid. I think on his horses generally. You know, but it's a bit of a funny. It was a scattergun approach with Mike Channon. He used to have loads of horses, loads of races, and you get the odd winners. But I think that was his approach to racing. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Please follow me on Twitter for all the latest City news. And even I do movies and TV drama stuff as well. So if you're into that, follow me on @CharlesDeneen, spelled DINNN, or @nostalgia_movie. I do check every couple of days and follow everyone back. And I'm on Facebook at Bernard Deneen on Facebook. And I have links below and links on Facebook and Twitter to MovieGameNostalgia.com, my little website for old rare DVDs, movie posters from the 1990s and 2000s, and some board games as well. So if you can spend a couple of minutes going on there, much appreciated. Bit longer this one today. When you've got programs and your own personal memories, it takes a little bit long to get through these things. But I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it wasn't too boring for you. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll join me again for another Citizen vlog, past or present. What are you going to do the rest of the day? Have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your family. More importantly, let's all look after each other. And hopefully I'll see you all again very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.